Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into NFL offseason rumors update number, who the hell knows, like 26 or 27. We've got Deshaun Watson stuff. Not great news here. It says news, another Texas grand jury is considering a charge against Deshaun Watson. A Harris County grand jury rejected 9 criminal cases against Watson earlier this month, but a 10 complainant filed with Houston police described an event that took place in a different county. So it looks like Watson might not completely be out of the woods yet when it comes to this legal situation. Now, we know the NFL is going to do their investigation, and many people expect Watson to be suspended. He's supposed to be doing his physical in Cleveland. Make sure there's no massage therapists around. Of course, when he's doing the physical, we got to make sure there's no issues there. But he's doing his physical, and then he's supposed to have his introduction press conference tomorrow. How this affects that, I don't know. We'll have to see if there's any new news on this potential case that could be happening. We know he was cleared, but this apparently is a situation that happened in a different county, which would be something different, so he still might be facing some legal issues. Once again, even if he gets cleared from all of these issues, the NFL is still going to be doing their independent investigation, at which point many people have been speculating Deshaun Watson being suspended maybe 8 to 10 games. There is a theory right now that the NFL really wants to, make a precedent and act like they actually do care about these certain issues. We know the whole Ray Rice thing, other things, people have led them to believe that the NFL doesn't really care about assault against women, stuff like that, so they could come down hard on Deshaun Watson depending on what happens in the investigation. Now, we know Deshaun Watson has been accused by 22 different women of, illegal acts during massage therapy sessions or whatever. I'm not exactly sure about it, but, he pleaded the fifth. He doesn't want to talk about it. That's his right. We'll have to see what happens, but hopefully this is something, as a Browns fan, we're hoping this gets cleared up as soon as possible, and it really does. It's like, you got to prepare for it. So who is your backup quarterback? That's still to be determined. There is an idea amongst Browns fans that just bring Baker Mayfield back. If Watson gets suspended for 8 to 10 games, I think that bridge is burned at this point. It would be awkward. Baker Mayfield wants to be in a position where he's in a contract year. He wants to start the full season, and I continue to operate under the assumption that Baker Mayfield's best chance for proving that he is worthy of a longer-term extension is to be the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks next year. Right now, they only have Drew Lock. So for Baker Mayfield, I still think Seattle is the best option. We heard rumors about Carolina, but the idea that you're just going to keep Baker Mayfield and start him, I think the bridge is already burned, and I don't think Baker Mayfield would want to start the first 8 games, and then Watson comes back and he's on the bench when he's trying to get a new contract. He's already demanded a trade. The Browns originally said, we're not going to trade you because they didn't think they had Watson, and then they get Watson. So the situation with Baker in Cleveland is very awkward right now, and it's a situation that's going to be resolved probably by them trading Baker to a team like Seattle for a 4th or a 5th round pick at this point. I think his value has depreciated so much, and the Browns really have no leverage. Again, it's like if Deshaun Watson gets suspended, what do you do, though? Like, Baker can still be a really good backup quarterback where you play him, but it's just like the bridge is burned too far, I think, at this point with Baker. The relationship is not good. And then here's another rumor. Here's another big one. John Johnson, who was the Browns starting safety, on IG Live. OBJ coming back. You ain't hear it from me, though. That ship has sailed, man, with OBJ. Listen, I have nothing against OBJ. I've got nothing against Jarvis Landry. Go somewhere else, guys. Please go somewhere else. These LSU dudes, we can't get rid of them. I know a lot of Browns fans like Jarvis Landry. I personally think he's washed. I don't see a reason to bring him back. The Browns clearly do need another receiver. I would have loved it if they would have traded for Robert Woods. I guess his cap hit was probably a bit too much. Either way, with OBJ, and Jarvis Landry, please, guys, just find new teams. It's not, we tried it. We tried the whole Baker Mayfield thing. We're moving on. We tried the whole OBJ thing. It didn't work out. We're moving on. We're going to get different receivers. What I think the Browns should do is they've still got their 2nd round pick, the 44th overall pick. If they're able to re-sign Jadeveon Clowney, use that 44th overall pick on David Bell or maybe even George Pickens becomes available, but David Bell preferably. And then you've got a nice receiver room with Amari Cooper, David Bell, and then you still have Donovan Peoples-Jones. Also, Anthony Schwartz kind of as a deep threat, although I thought that was a terrible pick by the Browns last year in the third round. Schwartz, like this draft class in 2022 is so much better than the 2021 draft class. I understand Jamar Chase is a really good player, but this draft class is so deep. I mean, you could even draft a guy like Alec Pierce in the third round if you're not able to re-sign Jadeveon Clowney. So the rumors about OBJ, it's enough, guys. Like we tried OBJ, it didn't work out. OBJ, he's a fine player. I've got nothing against OBJ. Go to a different team, please. Jarvis Landry, I know some Browns fans want him back. I think he's washed. He shied away from contact all year. He was injured. We need new receivers, guys. We need new blood. We got Amari Cooper. Let's get someone else. Like, I saw that, and I was like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. And we've also got Colin Kaepernick. Who would have thought? Tyler Lockett saying, my man Cap is ready to return to the NFL. Colin Kaepernick, I believe, is now 34 years old. I would love for just some team to sign Kaepernick, start him one game, let him throw 3 interceptions, and then just cut him. Like that's what I would love to see. Honestly, I don't think any team is touching Kaepernick at this point. The only logical thing I could see if a team does sign him, they would sign him to a 1-year deal, and he would probably be cut in the preseason. They would let him play a preseason game and then he'd get cut or something like that. But the guy is 34. He hasn't played in the NFL in 5 or 6 years. As for the Kaepernick situation, people saying he got blackballed, this, that. What ended up happening with Kaepernick, guys, it got to the point where his worth was not worth the distraction that he would have caused in a locker room. Colin Kaepernick, when he ended up being, blackballed, as people say, from the NFL, he was a fringe starter. Was he worthy of an NFL quarterback job as a backup? Absolutely. But at these GMs, these owners have to think to themselves, is it worth a backup quarterback causing this much distraction in a locker room? Like if Colin Kaepernick was an MVP level player or even just a good starter in the league when this whole kneeling thing happened, he would still be in the NFL. But he simply was like a fringe back starter, would have been a really good backup, I agree. At that point in his career when the kneeling started and everything, they started saying he was blackballed. But it's like the NFL owners looked at him and they said, this dude's a fringe starter, probably a backup on pretty much every team that wants to go to the playoffs. I'm not going to have my backup quarterback be this much of a distraction to the locker room. That's what I think ended up happening. And there's still these crazy rumors about Kaepernick returning at the age of 34. The only thing I could see is maybe a team brings him in and he plays a preseason game and then gets cut. That's the only thing I could see personally with Kaepernick. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think he's going to be re-signed. We've also got an interesting rumor that I wanted to talk about in terms of the NFL draft. Guys, I'm big into the NFL draft. Breece Hall. We've got a report that says the Buffalo Bills could be looking at Breece Hall in the first round. And if I was a Bills fan, this would excite me. I would be extremely excited. The Bills have made 2 moves this offseason that have been real just head scratchers, giving Von Miller 6 years. Although I understand it's void after 3. You can opt out. I get that. But still, that's a crazy contract for someone that's 32. And then trading for Case Keenum just Case Keenum is not worth whatever they're paying him at this point, $9 million. I don't know. Case Keenum arm is shot. I don't know if the Bills didn't do any research into Case Keenum. I think most casual fans probably think Case Keenum is a good backup quarterback, but at this point in his career, his arm is dead. The Cleveland Browns were talking about playing Nick Mullins in front of Case Keenum last year. That's how bad Case Keenum's arm is shot. So I was like, when the Browns ended up trading Case Keenum, I was like, what team is dumb enough to trade anything for Case Keenum? He's not worth $9 million. The Browns were looking at a situation where they were going to have to just straight up cut Case Keenum and eat about $1.2 million in dead money by doing that, offloading him for a 7th round pick. I'm just not high on the Bills front office, but if they drafted Breece Hall, even in the first round, I understand you don't want to draft a running back in the first round, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, even if it's like the last pick of the first round. Look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire with Kansas City. He really hasn't impacted that team. But Breece Hall is a really good player. And I don't even think maybe you would have to spend a first-round pick. You might be able to just trade up in the middle of the second round and get Breece Hall. Breece Hall is my number 1 running back. He's a big tank who runs a sub 4.4 at the combine. I think he ran a 4.38. It's really him, Kenneth Walker, and then everyone else. Him and Kenneth Walker are 2 complete running backs. They both ran great times at the combine. And if you're the Bills, you've been kind of stuck in this weird running back loop ever since LaShawn McCoy left, where you've just got a bunch of average, like Devin Singletary, average, Zach Moss, average. Get yourself a really good running back. Again, I almost wonder, you might be able to use your first-round pick on someone else, trade up into the middle of the second round, and then draft Breece Hall. You might not even have to invest, the 29th or whatever, 27th overall pick. I don't know what pick they have in the first round. They have like a, back half of the first-round draft pick. And I've seen Breece Hall in most mock drafts going right around pick number 45 to 50. That's where I've seen Breece Hall going. That's where his average ranking is. When I come out with my new big board on April 1st, which will expand to 75 players, I'm going to have Breece Hall very likely inside my top 35. He's definitely going to be my number one running back. So if I'm a Bills fan, I'm pretty excited about this, just looking at it. And guys, just one quick last thing. Guess who's showing up in the news today? Tom frickin' Brady. Bucs general manager says Tom Brady could play beyond the 2022 regular season. I mean, Tom Brady, man. What was Tom Brady doing? Like, that has got to be the biggest sham retirement. Like, if you're Tom Brady, don't you have to be kind of embarrassed for what happened this offseason? You literally retire February 1st. It seemed completely rushed, completely out of nowhere. Schefter was the first to report it. They said he was wrong. He turned out to be right. Tom Brady releases a statement on February 1st. A week later, on his podcast, Tom Brady says, never say never. I can always come back. A week after so-called retiring, and then about a month after that, he's back. It's just, again, guys, my speculation, I think his wife made him retire, and he was like, listen, she's on her period right now, something's happening, she's pissed, so I'm just going to retire, and then in a month, she'll be more calm, and I can come back. Like, the whole idea Tom Brady, with his competitiveness, was going to retire after having the second, being the second best quarterback in the regular season, I would say, behind Aaron Rodgers. There were people arguing he should have won the MVP in front of Aaron Rodgers. So like a top 3 quarterback that he's just going to hang it up. It is ridiculous. The whole thing with Tom Brady, guys, I never want to say, oh, Tom Brady is cheating, but the situation that's happening right now where he's 44 years old and he's still this good when we look at other all-time greats like Drew Brees. I mean, Drew Brees, by the time he was 39, could barely throw a ball 7 yards. Peyton Manning at the age 40 had an touchdown-interception ratio of, 9 touchdowns to 17 interceptions. Phillip Rivers was completely washed that last year with Indianapolis. Big Ben was washed. We're just seeing example after example after example of these all-time great quarterbacks at the age of 39, the age of 40, just being completely washed. We'll see what happens with Aaron Rodgers. That'll be another good one. And then there's one guy who's 44 and who's throwing the ball harder than he ever has in his entire life. Come on, guys. Really? Really? That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.